folks. One of the Redneck Country podcast. You're on with Real Redneck Todd Millard. Of course, we got the almost guy, Real Redneck Bill. Tom, Bill, are you there?
I am here, and it's a beautiful night for a podcast.
It is a beautiful night for a podcast. I'm only taking that because yesterday was beautiful. I haven't really been outside yet today, but yesterday was beautiful, so today's got to be the same, right? Every day's beautiful.
Every day you wake up on the right side of the green stuff, it's a good day.
I don't know what green stuff is out there. I've only seen white.
Oh, yeah. White stuff now. You're right.
If there's green stuff, I want to move in with you. Wherever that is, I'm coming.
Yeah. Not for a while anyways.
No, we're under the snowfall and more coming.
That's it. Good.
Well, beside me, as always, is Patriarch Redneck Country, my father, Real Redneck Don Millard. Dad, is your mic hot?
It's hot, and it was a great night for a walk. It was a beautiful day today.
Is it good out there?
It's nice out. It's not even too cold. My ears didn't even get cold.
Now, Bill, I want you to notice, did you hear me introduce him? Did you hear the sigh? Did you hear any negativity there when I introduced Dad?
You know, it was the first time in a while. I'm not sure what you drank for your coffee or tea or something today, but I'm thinking you should probably add that to your daily diet because your positivity is through the roof today. It's going to be one of them podcasts where Todd's going to be on fire.
New year, new me.
Yeah.
I'm giving Dad a chance.
A new month, new you. Is that what it is? New day?
I haven't seen Dad since yesterday. I've had the break.
Yeah. Well, it's all it takes. Sometimes absence makes a heart go fonder.
He doesn't know what to do. He just sits there laughing right now. He's like, he's not chirping me. I don't even know what to do.
I got nothing to chirp you about. But I do want to tell Bill and Jay, if he's listening, I got your back. Your bibs are on the way. They're in the mail.
That's awesome.
You mailed something to them? I had something to mail. I hope you haven't done it yet.
Oh, they're gone. They're on their way. I don't mess around.
Oh, now I got to pay extra shipping. Well, it might not be worth it. You might not get it till I see you.
Yep. I got a bunch of bibs made. I picked a couple out. They're in the mail. I have no idea when they'll get there, but they're on their way. No more tea stains on your shirt while you're doing your podcast.
That's great. I will definitely wear that next podcast and get Candace to take a picture. I like getting mail. That's awesome. Good deal.
Did you find one with an extra big head hole for Jay?
No.
Shots fired, Jay, Tom. Shots. You're not even here to defend yourself. I could do this all night.
Oh, there you go. It's early. So.
Jay's like, well, there are other podcasts out there. Absolutely, Jay, but we love you and they don't.
Well, yeah, I saw my brother yesterday, by the way.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it was good. We had a good visit. We
right on.
Had the pleasure of taking my niece Haley for the weekend, which I'm going to get right into what I did this week so we can get right into our
Bill. Oh, yeah. Well, before we do that, folks, we are sticking with our theme that we went with last week. It seems to be working. We've done it before. Back to our roots. I keep saying back to our roots, but this one, great accolades. We got response from people. Isaac was one of them. He's like, I loved your dad's hunting story last week. Dude, that podcast was awesome. So we are going to roll with it. We'll get through what we did this week because I got to have something to be able to chirp them on because I don't really talk through dads. And if we don't do what did you do this week, I don't get to talk much. So we'll do that. We'll get to dad's story. So stay tuned. It's coming up. I'm pumped. So yeah, Bill, what'd you do this week?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we had a great visit. Candace went down to Welland to pick the little lady up, my niece Haley, and we went skiing with her for the first time ever. She did fantastic on Saturday night, and she had a sleepover here. It's her birthday coming up this Thursday, so Candace and Violet and Hunter and myself, we had a little birthday cake for her and sang happy birthday, and then they watched a movie and had a little camp out sleepover in the living room. And we got up first thing Sunday morning and we went snow tubing. So I saw some sliding on the backside by you guys there, and we did the same thing on a bigger hill.
Holy crap! Are you still walking today? That's action packed, buddy. Did you take the day off?
Well, my body was sore. I went in late to work today, but I had to. But it was good. She's absolutely fearless. She went on every hill without any problems. In the ski lesson, she wanted to be the first one to go up the hill. There was no fear at all. And she was great. It was nice to have her, and we don't do that enough. And it was nice to get together with family, even if it was for a short period of time. So
right
That's it. And Friday, I sent you a couple pictures, and the old sled made a 30-kilometer trip and didn't even cough, hiccup,
30 clicks on the 1980 machine.
And it was rode awesome. It felt good. I took the afternoon off work on Friday to take a little ride on my machine, and I got to take time. I can't start my trip too late at night because it gets cold if it breaks down, and I have to walk a long way at night. But I figure if I start my rides early in the morning, I've got all day in case something goes wrong.
That's right. I mean, because you don't want it to cut in on your knitting time, your tea time, and that's not a golf term, folks. I mean, it's green, purple.
We have a good time here at the Thom household. It's skiing, snow tubing, snowmobiling, and at the odd time we have a cup of tea and a relax. And it's good time here in the homestead.
Well, you crochet some more dailies. Doilies. Yeah. Doilies? Daily? What are they called? I don't even know. So 1980 machine. So it actually made it. Like 30 clicks. You're really going to get your money out of your pass this year, right?
No question in my mind. I'll be out next Saturday morning doing a little walkabout and hopefully not a walkabout.
Like last year you were like, you bought the pass, you had like 2 weeks of snow. This year you bought the pass, buddy, you're going to have snow clean into who knows when.
Well, that's good. I mean, the old track is getting a little bit frayed, but I'm hoping it'll last me the wintertime, touch wood. I replaced a lot of stuff on there last winter, so the only thing left is the track. But I'm hoping it'll get me through this winter, and maybe in the off season if Volkswagen project which is going well. That's a topic for another podcast, but that it might be a little weekend project in the summertime to replace the track. And by the money I got invested in, I probably could have bought a new one, but I mean, I love my old stuff. So there you go. That's what we did this week.
Right on.
Let's keep it quick and succinct.
Well, I'm going to hold off on mine because Dad's got a little bit, he's got a shout out and a bit of a story, and then I will tailor how much time I take with mine based on how much time Dad takes.
Which not much. So if he starts to get too wordy there, Don, give him a
I'll
smack.
cut him off, Bill. I'll cut him off.
No. We're talking the other way around. If you start getting too wordy, which is always. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't call him Todgents for nothing, folks.
Right. So, Don, what'd you get up to?
What did we get up to? Last Wednesday, we went to the gun club, Oxford Sportsman's Club, and I wanted to try a new hold. I wasn't shooting the targets quick enough. I was struggling. I wasn't getting a look at them early enough under the lights, and they were getting away from me.
So pause. I want you to put this into perspective, Bill. Start newer in your shooting career, right? Dad shot your first 25 straight. What'd you say? 1977 or something like that, right?
Somewhere in there.
Something like that. I can't remember. And he's now still at the age of 74 trying new stuff. Think about that. But anyway, okay, Dad, keep going.
Well, that's just the way it goes.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you ever really figured out, I'm going to try this. I got to need a new gun. All right, sorry, go on.
Yeah, you're older. Your clothes weigh on you. Your eyesight gets dim. Your reflexes are different. So anyway, excuse me, I started a different hold, a different perspective where I was looking for the target, and I shot a 23, 22, and 24.
Nice.
So I was pretty pleased with myself. I really thought I was going to get to 25 on the third round. I beat Todd that night, so I was pumped.
Well,
not surprised.
I did coach him.
But then Sunday,
I told him he needs to shoot quicker. Yeah. He's shooting like an old man.
So anyway, it worked out for me. So I went into Sunday's competition down in Glencoe with a positive streak. I even played the high gun option. And I thought I'll use this new hold. And of course, one of the guys from the gun club was scoring for us from Oxford. And he says, hey, we need some good scores today, so do your best. I said, I always do my best. I'm going to use my new hold I used Wednesday night. And I went up there, and oh my gosh, were they hard to see. And I went in the toilet.
They were hard to see. I'm not going to lie to you. They were the toughest targets to see I've ever shot.
Everybody was complaining that they just, the same complaint. And I missed the first three, and Charlie scoring for me. He says, lose the new hold, go back to the old one.
Yeah.
So I did not shoot well.
Yeah. So I talked that into shooting quicker, and then at the club there, you had to shoot slower because the targets, the background is got like a ravine, and then it comes up to a hill to a fence row. And that fence row is like 8 feet above the trap house. And that target is, you can't see it till it gets above the fence row. And so you got to wait and wait.
You got to wait on it.
Because you can't see it. It's insane how hard it is to see, which is a struggle for me because I want to keep I want to shoot. I shoot fairly quick, right? I want to keep that same, but I couldn't. So therefore now it's a mental game of don't move the gun till I see the target. And normally I see the target quick and I move quick. Well, now I'm physically, like I'm mentally trying to make myself hold, wait. Oh, there it is. And then go for it. Well, then don't panic because now it's a lot longer than I'm used to waiting to pull the trigger. Don't swing past it. Don't jump at it. Like, oh, it'll mess with you.
Not bossy or anything, but you're cutting into my time.
I was elaborating and helping you out on why you shot a bad score. I've got your back on this one, Dad.
But on a high note, on Bill's squad, Bill Volk's squad, my buddy, there was a guy shooting with
and
them.
Sandra's squad. Bill and Sandra's squad.
Bill and Sandra. And the guy on their squad shot his first 25. So that hat went into the air and it got riddled. And does it ever look cool now? It is full of holes. And that guy wore that out proudly.
Oh, he was pumped. He was really upset at first because he just bought this brand new Under Armour fitted hat. And I wouldn't have said it, right? Like it's just shooting a hat. And he shot his first and they're like, well, we got to shoot that hat. And he's like, oh, not this hat. He was dead serious. Not this hat. Like he was happy. He wasn't that happy. He's like, oh, not this hat. And they're like, the hat you're wearing. And like they were, and I wouldn't be that, like, it's just shooting a hat, right? It ain't your 25. It's his 25. He doesn't want his hat shot. Don't shoot his hat. It's his hat. Who cares, right? His 25. And they're like, nope, it's got to be the hat you're wearing. I'm like, whoa, like, why are we being that? But that could turn off a new shooter, but to each his own. Yeah, for sure. So whatever. Well, then they're like, Todd, you're going to shoot the new hat. Well, if you're going to shoot the hat, I'm shooting the hat. Heck yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, but it was awesome because after they didn't blow a hole, like it drives me insane when the hat goes and you hit it at point blank range. They stuffed targets in it and they chucked it. Well, the first time it didn't go very far. So then the second time, okay, no, don't shoot it yet. So then they regrouped, chucked it further. And then, so it was out there a good ways when we hit it and only 3 of us shooting at it. So that was good. And it drives me insane. The hat will land on the ground and guys will line up and then pull the trigger when it's on the ground and blow a hole in it, right? Well, now you can't wear it. You put it on a shelf. It's a rag, right? Like you can't even tell what it was. But this was perfect. It was at the right distance. It was in the air. It was just peppered. And you could see the peppered holes. When he put it on, the frayed holes of the shot that went in and came out the other side. Like it was just shot perfect. And then he was happy. He's like, I'm going to wear this hat. I'm like, now that I will get behind because now people will be like, what happened to your hat? I just shot my first 25.
Yeah, when I saw him, he was wearing it proud and he was happy.
Oh, yeah.
He thought it looked real cool and he was grinning and he didn't know anything about that shooting the hat stuff. So he was pretty pleased and pretty pumped. So anyway, that happened. But I want to give out a shout out. You've heard me talk about my buddy Ron Underhill, who passed away some years ago. We used to hunt 5 days a week. And a lot of my hunting stories include Ron because we did a lot of hunting together. Well, while we're shooting, we get contacted by his wife, Rosemary Underhill, and she's asking Todd on Facebook how they get a hold of.
Is this Don Millard's son? Is this Don and Glenda Millard's son on Facebook? And I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I normally say no. I deny everything. Yeah, right. But I know the name, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, Dad's old duck hunt. Like you hear Dad's duck hunting stories. That is, we've talked about them lots on these podcasts. Yeah. It's Ron Underhill. Like they founded Lake Mill Hill, which I bet at some point Dad will tell the story of Lake Mill Hill. They made a lake for duck hunting for the one day. We'll get into that. Yeah. I'm certain it's coming at one point in time in these stories. And trust me, I want to try.
Anyway, I looked up the number, and it was the same number that they always had. So I give her a call on the way home and I said, what's up? And she said, I just wanted to talk. I haven't heard from you guys. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm at a competition right now. When I get home, I'll get my wife and Glenda and I will give you a call and we'll have a visit. She thought that was wonderful. So I called her when we got home, and it was so good to hear her laugh again. Like we were close. We were inseparable. And she was pregnant with Michael. And the same time, my wife was pregnant with my daughter, Carrie Ann. And my wife and her went to prenatal classes together, and they coerced Ron and I into going. And we went for a little bit, the exercise exercises, and this is what it's all about. And then one night they said, well, we're going to show you a video and have a little bit of a lunch. And so they showed us a video of childbirth, and they served us jelly donuts. And that kind of was the last night we decided to go. It kind of ended up pretty quick.
that whole story, and I bet you Bill's going, they have prenatal classes? Well, I'm not doing anything this Thursday night.
So, anyway.
I was just trying to figure out how that fit into the hunting and fishing side of the
Well, I'm just
podcast.
thinking, one night is your tea drinking night. The next night you're knitting sweaters or doilies or scarves or whatever you're on now. You got Thursday night. What else is there to do with the women?
Well,
Anyway, not podcast anymore, that's for sure.
Hey, Jay, are you there? We're looking for a new host.
we supported them, and so we said, like, okay, so when my wife went into labor, she went into labor first. They were only born a couple weeks apart, but my wife was the first one to deliver. So when she went into labor, I called around. I said, hey, Glenda's in labor. She's 5 minutes apart. The hospital said when you get down to 2 minutes or between 2 and 3 minutes, then make your way to the hospital. And he said, well, great. Come on over. We'll play cards and board games, and we'll time her contractions. So we went over, and it went on through the whole supper time, went on through the whole evening, and it was going into the early morning, and she was still 5 minutes apart. 5 minutes exactly. We were timing them and never got any quicker. She would have this contraction, and we'd go back to the game. And finally, it was about 4 a.m. Ron says, okay, you ain't having this kid tonight. You're not getting any closer. Go on home. So we did go home, and eventually she did get to the hospital, and we had my daughter. And so
that was the trial run for excellence.
Yeah. So she says to me, she says, so you were at a trap shoot yesterday. You still trap shooting? And I said, oh yeah, never quit. Never gave it up. Been trap shooting ever since Ron and I started trap shooting together. And she says, you still hunting? I said, yeah, still hunting. We filled our deer tags this year, and we shot 90 geese. And she's 90 geese. What about ducks? And I said, well, we don't hunt ducks a lot because the geese are so plentiful. We usually look for goose fields. If they present themselves, we do a duck hunt. And she says, oh, I remember the year that you and Ron got over 100 ducks. And she said, we ate ducks all winter. I said, yep, they were good times. So we reminisced. She laughed, and it was really good. And then she asked me how she could listen to the podcast. And so I told her, so if she gets around to this one and she's listening, Rosemary, we'll keep in touch. It was good to hear you laugh again. And it was great getting in touch with you and reliving those old times. So that was pretty cool. So that was my week.
Aren't you going to go to when that was the precursor to excellence? 3 years later, excellence was born. We're not going to hear that story?
Well, no, I can tell you that story. That was another whole story. But this time I knew what to expect.
Stay tuned, folks. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How you get
it's a unique story. I can explain why he's all screwed up. I'll tell you that.
No. What did I do this week, Bill, you ask, to cut Dad off?
Is that what I asked? I thought we already heard what you did.
No.
Your dad's time there.
No. So I also shot, and I was shooting off against Randy. And on the Wednesday night league, you could only win twice. I've won once, and I thought this would be awesome. If I win this again, the pressure's off, and then it's just I go out and get to chirp everybody, which is really, really, truly what I excel at the gun club. Not gonna lie. I go, I get attention, I perform, it's up my alley, I have a blast. Shooting is like the side thing of that. So I was in a shoot off, and I tanked. Randy ended up only dropping one and whooped my butt. I think he only dropped one. We left halfway through Randy's second round because he was straight, and I'm like, I'm out of here. But kudos to Randy because he was smoking them. It was awesome to see, and I'm so happy. He drives over an hour every week for that league shoot for 50 targets under the lights. So.
That's
kudos.
Commitment right there.
That's awesome. So I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. He whooped my butt fair and square, but I'm happy he did because when I found out he drove over an hour, I'm like, dude, that's impressive. And I'm just here to chirp people.
Well, that just opens you up for
lucky
another
every
time
now
where
and then.
You could win, right?
Yeah, well, and that's it. Because if you win two and then the pressure's off, what are you doing? You go and you can't win again. Well, then you're not really practicing because this is practice for like the big leagues in the summer, right? When you need that pressure, you need that. And now if there's no pressure, I find myself screwing around out there because I don't care. I need the pressure to care. That was my excuse.
I can't imagine that.
That was my excuse after.
I can't imagine that with you, just going to the gun club and screwing around.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Anyway, and then, what did you do Sunday? Sunday, I also went to the league that Dad shot with the really hard to see targets. And I tied for second.
But he did win.
I tied for second.
He did win this week. He did win $46. So that was a highlight.
I did.
Well, that's all right. I'm sure that paid for your dad's gas because I'm sure he drove to get you there.
Yeah. I have to fight him to keep his wallet in his pocket to keep him from paying.
No doubt. Yeah.
Keep my wallet in my pocket. I don't even know where it is. I'd pay you if I knew where my wallet was.
He never knows where his money is either.
Really short arms. Yeah. That's what he's got.
He never knows where his wallet is or his money either because he'll say, "Oh, forgot my money. Can you pay for me today?"
Can you provide me the shells?
No, that's not true. Regardless. Really? No, gosh, no. Are you kidding me now? He comes to me because he wants the shells I've touched.
Oh, Lord.
So that, and then, yes, we did toboggan on Saturday, which was an absolute blast. Blast. But that's. He
was live for a while. And I'm telling you, my youngest granddaughter, she's 8. She impressed me when she went off the jump and went up and did a backward somersault about 6 feet in the air and come down on her behind.
I think my wife wanted to kill me. God. My wife's sitting way down and she brought a chair and we brought my older daughter and all her friends. There was 4 of them and like they're too cool for school, right? They're teenagers. They're up hanging and my 8-year-old and she brought her 8-year-old friend. And so they were going down the hill. I'm like, look at this jump. Well, the older kids are going, Todd, come jump this jump. Come jump it. Come do it. And I'm like, you guys do it. No, you do it first so we know it's okay. Okay, you're going to send the older dude down the hill? Like, so then they're playing on my ego. Oh, you can't do it? All right. Step aside. Hold my water bottle. Well, I couldn't hit this darn thing on a saw. I couldn't line up on it. And they forgot my GT Snow Racer. So my 8-year-old's like, I'll do it, Dad. Wicked. So I set her down on the saucer and I gave her a push. Well, let me tell you, that log, I bet you that log, I'm not kidding you, was 14, 15 inches in circumference that they built the snow ramp over. So there's 15 inches of log and then the snow on top of it to make the ramp. When she hit that sucker, I bet you, like she's 3.5 feet tall. I bet you she was 7 feet in the air, complete backflip airborne.
That's hang time.
It was
They were live and I watched that and I went, oh my God. I said to my wife, I said, Glenda, look at this. I'll rewind this. Watch Avery hit this jump. And she watched Avery go down there and my wife went, oh my gosh. Like she was airborne, man.
She was, the saucer was gone. She was straight up in the air doing a cartwheel like it was awesome. It was absolute. My wife looks at me and goes, you better get down there. And I'm like, but did you see that though? That was freaking awesome.
Did she get a tear or two in her eye or was she didn't, okay?
She was, because when I got down there and I said to her, I said, all right, what's the matter? My wrist. And I'm like, are we going to the hospital? Like this is because this is something to brag about. I'm like, are we going to the hospital? Well, no. I'm like, can you move it? Yeah. Well, then what are you crying for? Unless you're a phoenix and those tears heal, that's pointless. Let's go again. So she sucked it up the hill we went, and away we go. So I was proud of her for that.
I watched a couple of those there when you guys are having a pretty good time.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. We found a really long run, which makes it worth it, right? So I might run for city council just on the grounds of, like, my town's putting in roundabouts everywhere, like we think we're in England. And
you're going to run for city council?
So I'm debating on the sole platform of, if we're putting in, like, these roundabouts cost like $3 million or something like that. And I'm like, our city, on a normal city, okay, great. Roundabouts save accidents and that. But our city's full of senior citizens that have no freaking clue what to do at a roundabout. It's causing accidents. Quit spending taxpayers' money to then pay insurance companies. This is insanity. So I would say, let's stop with the roundabouts and let's put in ski lifts at every freaking snow hill for the parents.
Well, there you go.
Right? Just one of them pulley systems. Like, how much would it be to keep one of them in order? You got Parks and Recs working year round anyway. Put one there to man the rope pulley and we're good to go.
Yeah, I'm sure your
would you vote for me?
Your platform speech would be really short.
I just did it.
Cut out the roundabouts.
I just did it. I'm right there.
Ski hills in.
Yep.
I'm done.
Done. Vote for me. And trust me, I think I'd get it.
No kidding aside, though, you'd be shocked at how many people tell my wife she should run for for city council. My wife is so into politics. She watches them 24/7. She watches local politics. She watches
her blood pressure couldn't handle it.
She watches all the meetings, the council meetings. She watches Fox News. She watches everything. And she's up on everything.
Kind of like you at soap operas, Bill.
She
Yeah, right. I can see that.
And I'm telling you, there are all kinds of people that tell her she should run for council. Your ideas are wonderful. Your opinions are great. You should run for council.
Yeah, she's missing the main one, though.
And she
ski
would.
lift. Need a ski lift at all the public park hills. But anyway, so that's that. That's what I did this week, and that's a wrap, folks. So now we're on to the meat and potatoes.
Well,
are we ready to rock?
I think so. I mean, we heard enough of you for one podcast, so I think your dad can come in here and tell us some stories and bring this back to what we started off doing.
Sure. We're going to go back to the 70s.
What year are we going to tonight?
We're going to go back to the 70s. I wanted to tell you the 73 story because I was pumped, but we're going to go back to the 70s when it all started. You got to remember, I started hunting when I was 15, graduated in 68, no, what was it, 66, 68? Yeah, 66. I graduated, got married in 68. I met my wife in high school. She was my high school sweetheart. I won the most valuable player on the senior football team. She was a cheerleader. I took
it's
her
like
to prom.
Grease. It's like Grease.
Yeah.
And then
I am a product.
You know what that movie's all about.
I am a product of Grease.
we graduated.
How do you know that movie?
Because I have a sister that tormented me on summer break.
Yeah,
right.
That was my daughter's favorite movie. Anyway, we dated for 2 years after high school while we both were working, both had jobs. Got married in 68. I sent you a picture of the late 60s or the early 70s with her sitting on my lap.
They had cameras then? Was it black and white?
No, it was color.
No, and you look like a football player in that picture, by the way.
That was when, and I don't know if we were married yet or not. I honestly don't know, but it would have been close. And so,
you had a wedding ring on.
Yeah, and so
look at you, really studying that picture, Bill.
I got
pay attention.
I got interested in trap shooting.
Attention
I got
to detail.
interested in hunting, and when I was a kid, on Sunday afternoons, my mom was crazy for Sunday drives and hiking. And at that time, we only lived 10, 15 minutes from the shores of Lake Erie. And there were a lot of cliffs and bluffs and ways down to the beach and a lot of like really nice beaches. You could just stop, find a farm road that went back to the cliffs, find your way down. There was lots of pathways down, and we'd spend Sunday afternoons walking the beach for miles, both ways from where we went down, looking for stuff that washed up on shore. That was the way we spent our Sunday afternoons. And I began to realize that when I got towards fall, we used to start seeing ducks and geese migrating on the lake and see them swimming around on the lake. So then I'd met a buddy named Bill Chilton, and I met a buddy named Ron Underhill, both at work. And so I started talking to Bill about hunting ducks on the lake. And he says, I go down all the time on the bluffs and stand and wait for them to come up, fly over the bluffs. And sometimes we go down. I said, geez, I'd like to do that. So I sent you a couple pictures, and there was this
Those are good pictures. And again, those are the ones that I absolutely love because it's the history, right?
Yeah.
You know, the history of what you were shooting then. I even look at, what you were wearing. I don't know how you didn't freeze based on that, but I guess you're walking and moving and stuff. But
but there, you didn't have the clothes like you do today either. You don't, like, everything was cotton duck canvas, and then you kind of kept the wind out. But we didn't have the
Real
heavy,
Tree Camo Max Advantage Max 4.
Yeah, none of that. Even the camo I was so proud of when I started hunting deer. I don't even know what you call it. It was just weird green and browns, like it was just a weird pattern. But
we call it vintage nowadays, Dad.
I still got that suit too. I kept it.
Do you really?
I do.
I bet you it's worth some cash. Do you think, would it fit me? You said you were a football player back then, right? So it probably fit me.
I outgrew it.
He agreed.
I don't care what you guys I outgrew it. And so I sewed on elastic straps so that I could get it close to come around me and run the elastic straps around the buttons to hold it closed in front. But yeah, I still got that suit. I never got rid of it. Anyway, very little cottages along the lake. So, or houses or people. Now it's hard to find anywhere that isn't built up along the lake with people living and cottages and whatnot. But so anyway, I got together with Bill one morning, and we decided we'd head out to the lake and find a way down. And you were looking for like rocky points or clumps of driftwood and stuff that you could kind of hide behind. And you had to, if it was waves and everything, you couldn't put the decoys out. There's just no way, it was futile. And you were more or less just past shooting or calling to the ducks to try and get them to come in close. But if it was nice and calm, there was no real wave, then you could put a few decoys out and try and decoy them in. And the pictures I sent you.
So this is just along the shores of Lake Erie, right here, close to us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right close to us.
Like, so you'd park on a side road and go down the cliff.
That's it.
Because it's all cliff from here, from one port to the other port, right?
That's right. Oh yeah, and some of the spots that had those rocky points, we just sat in our butts and slid down, and then we had to walk.
How'd you get back up?
Well, you had to walk along and try and find a place to go back up with tree holes and stuff to get out.
Which is funny to me because you try to do some of that stuff now with the shotgun. You're going to be in jail now.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Much, right? So how did you get permission? Yeah. But
there was no houses, no cottages, no permission. You just got you found a pathway or an old farm road between the fields, and you drove back to the cliff and down you went.
And nobody cared.
Nobody cared. You never saw anybody. Never ran into anybody.
Man, you'd come out to SWAT today if you went along. Like I know from where I'm at, from port to port, it's like they almost believe they're cottagers in a way, right? Like this is our illustrious house. Oh my gosh, you'd come out to SWAT coming at you. It'd be like, what is going on there? The Crips and the Bloods have moved into Canada.
Well, the pictures I sent you, that was the same day. That's a picture of Bill Chilton and a picture of myself. And there was no timers on the camera because they were Instamatic, so we had to take each other's picture. And we each shot a pair of golden eyes that morning out of the same flock. We each got a double. We only had one flock come close enough, but and that was my very first two golden eyes, lake ducks, diver ducks. And so that was the picture after we climbed back up on top of the cliff.
You did all that work for 2 ducks.
Oh yeah, well, you'd do it for 1 duck.
4 ducks, but yeah.
Yeah, well, 4, 2 apiece.
Yeah.
But there's other days you wouldn't get any, or days you'd get 1. And I can remember we went down the next Saturday and we decided to move down. We saw more rafts of ducks closer to Port Stanley.
So was it rough water that would bring them closer to shore, or was it calm water that would bring them closer to shore?
No, if it was really rough, they weren't on the lake at all. They'd go inland. That's when you'd go to the lagoons and the ponds and stuff. That's when you'd start getting divers and a lot of mallards in the ponds and things. So it was real rough. Forget it. So usually we're looking for the calmer days. So they were rafting they were coming back.
Do you think you could do this today anywhere in that stretch? Like, I know they still go out like Mitchell's Bay and all that, like Lake St. Clair, and like our buddy Nick Obermock, he's hunting out in blinds and lay out boats and that lake. But do you think here you could still do it somewhere?
I don't know. It's been years since I've even gone down to look.
I mean, you'd have to ask permission nowadays, but
you go to Port Stanley and you walk along the beach, there's rafts of geese.
Oh, absolutely.
Right off the end of the pier.
And there's seagulls too.
Yeah, well, yeah. Rafts of geese. Not a lot of ducks, but there's rafts of geese that just outside of where you're swimming, just out of reach of where you swim, that you see swimming in there.
I wonder. I'm going to look that up and see what the laws are as well.
You could find
because
permission.
What if you just take a little layout boat out and you go out of Port Stanley?
Well, yeah. I mean, we used to do that too. Went down in Crystal Beach, but there was no. Like we had hip waders. We'd have to, or chest waders actually. We'd put chest waders on, and we would take a little boat, and we would go out as far as we could, and dump a bunch of decoys out, and then stand beside the boat or behind the boat
in the shallower water.
In the shallower water, and that's how we would, kind of
pass shoot as they blast you. See, and I wonder.
I mean, we would have half a dozen decoys. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of decoys back then. Right off in Crystal Beach. I was young, just married, just getting into duck hunting myself, and we had maybe a dozen decoys, mallard decoys, and we would just go and put a few out and test our luck. But you didn't even have hip waders or chest waders on in any of those pictures.
No, and that was the thing. Once you shot a couple of ducks,
a boat.
Yeah, well,
nor a boat.
Coming.
Yeah, that's right.
No, yeah, it's coming. When you shot a duck, you had to really watch to see, was it washing out or was it washing in? And sometimes it took an hour for that duck to finally get close enough to shore where you could run out and grab it and only be up to your knees in the water. Because sometimes they wash out.
Goodness. And anybody listening, when those ducks are there, that water's darn near close to 0 degrees.
Oh yeah, but we used to do a lot of smelt fishing too with no waders, so I'm used to cold water. Anyway, we had a favorite spot. We had a place a little closer to Port Stanley, and we'd drive along to where the road went right close to the cliff. And then when you looked over, it was kind of like a place that was washed away, and you could see where the water and the high rains had kind of washed down the side. And it didn't make a path, but it made a way where you could get down, and it gave some footholds where you could climb out. It was a fair climb. And so we used to go down there and sit, and some days we get them, some days we didn't. And you'll see a picture there beside a rubber dinghy. Well, this particular morning, we'd gone down there, and we sat there for a couple hours, and doggone it, I don't even know if it was 2, 3, 1. I can't even remember, but I remember shooting a mallard, and I'm holding a mallard in that picture, and it was washing out. Every wave it was getting out a little further, and I said to Bill, I ain't losing that mallard. I'm going home, get my rubber dinghy. I climbed up that cliff. I drove all the way back to St. Thomas.
Wouldn't it float away if it was going like...
It was. It took hours. I mean, it wasn't coming in, but it'd take hours. I said to Bill, you keep your eye on that speck.
And the rubber dinghy, if that's the same one I used as a kid,
yeah,
it's got plastic paddles.
Yes. And so
we had one of those too. I remember that. Yeah. It was a Canadian Tire special. It was 2-piece paddles, and it was. Yeah.
I blew the thing up, and I brought it back.
And you didn't have a compressor at that time, but I do believe you would have had enough hot air to get that sucker fired.
I had to use a foot pump.
Oh, okay.
So I got it pumped up. I slid down the hill. I paddled out, and that duck was it was getting smaller, but I brought that duck back in. I stood that dinghy up beside me in one hand and held the duck in the other, and that's the picture you're looking at right now. And a mallard
back then, was that big of a prize?
Oh, my goodness, yes. I would wait. I would hunt 3-4 days all day just to get a shot at one mallard, let alone hit it or not. But to actually bag one, this is when I was first starting
this must have been early on, because the pictures I've seen with what you guys got, like stacks of them.
Yeah, this is like 68, 69, and 70, and those pictures
is this with 70s. The LC Smith? Or is this the autoloader?
At that time, it probably would have been the LC Smith. Now, I did buy a Mossberg pump, and I did buy several barrels for it. So there are some pictures coming up later on where I'll send you, Bill, and you'll see the Mossberg with the vent rib barrel, but it didn't come with a vent rib barrel. I had to order that barrel.
Back then, that's a big deal.
You have a vent rib. Had a poly choke on it, and I used to hunt a lot of rabbits with that gun. And then I traded in the LC Smith. Well, no, before that.
You had an Ithaca autoloader.
Yes, I had an Ithaca autoloader. And then later on, you'll see some pictures of that. But that gun was not, what do you call it when it's inertia? It was not an inertia gun. It was gas operated. And that gun quit. That gun would not hit as hard as my LC Smith or the Model 12 that I shot later. It just did not hit ducks hard. I found that I was having to hit them twice to bring them down, and that really bothered me. So I sold that and went back to the LC Smith. Well, then I traded it in and got the Winchester Model 12, and then, boy, I got good with that gun. I mean, I was whacking ducks and targets with that gun for a lot of years, and I shot that gun to death a couple times. I had the receiver rebuilt once at least. I had it reblued. I had firing pins and springs put in it. Like, I shot that gun until you were with me when it finally died.
Yeah, we took it to get it done one more time, and I don't know about this.
Yeah, so no,
it did it, but it didn't hold up.
I shot it to death, but I still got it. It'll still shoot a single shell. It just won't eject properly. It gets hung up.
Here's the first gun I ever shot. I shot my first round of trap with that gun.
Yeah, it was a beautiful gun, and I still got it.
So you also sent me a picture of your sister.
Yes. Well, see,
and I'm looking at this gun, and I'm 99% certain it's the exact same one that my brother has that was given to him from my grandfather.
You my sister?
That gun. It's not obviously it's not the same gun, but that gun, if I'm not mistaken, by looking at the end, the choke. You turned the
poly choke slits in the barrel, and then you turn this thing to squeeze the barrel closer or wider.
That would have been the Mossberg 500 with a poly choke.
And I'm pretty sure that gun is in my brother's gun locker right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I ordered
bolt action 12 gauge.
Oh, no, this wasn't bolt action. Mine was a pump.
No, this is the one your sister's carrying in this picture is a bolt action by the looks of it.
I don't remember her ever having a bolt action, but it could be. I know the gun that was given her by my grandfather was an old Topper single 16 gauge.
Oh.
So I don't know. I'd have to look again closely to see. But either way, that's still the 70s. I was 22, and there's a year and a half between us. So she either would have been 20 or 21, depending on when the birthday is.
It's a bolt action.
Oh, okay. Well, it is a bolt action. Yeah, it is. And I don't remember where she got that gun then. Son of a gun. I don't remember that gun. Yeah, isn't that something? Anyway, that's rabbit hunting. And we hunted ducks and spent a lot of time through the fall hunting ducks. And then when I got colder,
okay, but this was early on. So how successful were you in your first couple years hunting ducks?
Oh, not good. I mean, if we got a duck, we were ecstatic. If we got 2 or 3, we were ecstatic. It wasn't until it's 73, 74 that Ron and I, Bill stopped hunting with us for a while, and we didn't hunt on the lake anymore.
So give us your best story of that year, or that couple years of your best duck hunt.
You're looking at them. Those ones where we were getting singles and doubles, because when winter, early
and so that's
fall,
what you did. You would go down the lake. You wouldn't go into a field. You wouldn't go look for ponds.
I used to hunt the family farm. And my sister would go with me once in a while. I mean, I'd grab anybody to go with me just for company. If I couldn't find company, I'd go by myself. And so I can remember my sister went with me once. I said, I want to shoot some ducks. We're going to go where you shot your first 2 wood ducks.
Yep.
And so we walked that creek. And I remember thinking, okay, here's a bit of a swamp. You know where I used to walk in and then start and walk the creek up? Well, it's really grown up now. A lot of bush, the trees are bigger and everything. Back then you could look across the field and you could see the creek pretty clear. And I said to my sister, I'm going to walk down to that swampy area in the creek and that big bend, because there's usually a duck hiding in that cattails and stuff. She says, I'm waiting here, because we'd already walked the whole creek up to that point and hadn't put any ducks up yet.
Wait, so this is Aunt Marilyn.
This is Marilyn. Yeah, my sister.
She used to hunt with you.
Yeah, back when she was 20, 21. I was 22.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I walked down there and I started to walk in. I thought, okay, if I got to go over my boots, I got to go over my boots, because I'm desperate to flush a duck. I mean, you were desperate to shoot something, to shoot a duck, find a duck, shoot at it. If you didn't hit it, fine. But
in your first couple of years, I could see that, right? We're spoiled now, where we go if we're not getting flocks coming in, we're not going to put out that many decoys. But back when you were starting out, you just want to get out there and find something, be successful,
and shoot
right?
a duck was like you held a wild duck in your hand, like, wow, I just shot a wild duck. This is incredible. Well, doggone, up went this mallard, a big mallard drake, and was right in the middle of that swamp. It was about 30 yards out, and I'd already learned to shoot above its beak, and as it's jumping straight up. And so when it jumped straight up, I brought the gun up and I pulled the trigger, and down it went. Well, now I'm getting wet because I had to walk in over my knees to get it, find it. And I brought it out. I put it in my pack. And so I'm walking back up to her, and she'd heard the shot, but she couldn't see me down in there, and she did not see the duck go up. So when I come back up the hill, she's looking, she's straining her neck. And so I got closer to her and I reached in my pack and held it up. And she grinned and she said, there was one there. I said, yep, just one. And I got it. And I was really pleased. Well, then later on, when it snowed and got wet, we'd rabbit hunting. Well, by this time, I'd hooked up with Ron Underhill, and we were hunting 5 days a week. We were hunting rabbits all winter, 5 days a week. And those 2 pictures you see was Ron and I together. And she took our picture, and then I took a picture of my sister with that bolt action. And for the life of me, I cannot remember that gun. I knew she shot a 16 gauge. So you know what? That might have been the 16 gauge gun she shot. But I knew she shot 16 because I remember having to buy her different shells than the 12s. So that might have been the gun. I just don't remember it. But yeah, she used to hunt with us. Now I don't ever remember her ever getting a rabbit or a duck. I do remember one day though. Remember I told you the story about I waited all night down, Todd, where we hunt deer on that field where the creek went through the field, and the ducks would come down the creek and come off the bend and fly right over that field in the middle. And there was like a small creek in the middle. And I waited in that gully, and I got one duck out of that flock, that one wood duck. I'd come up as they were flying over and went in front of it and shot that wood duck. And so a couple nights later, I said to her, do you want to go back down there and see if we can get them? And we had somebody with us, and I cannot remember who was with us. I cannot remember. But so I went back and I said, okay, here's where you sit, right in this ditch type of thing. And I said, they come down the creek when it's getting dark, and they make the turn, and they leave the creek and they come right across the field and go right over this. Now we're early, so I want to walk over and see if there's anything sitting on the main creek, the big creek, and walk it for a little bit, see if we can jump anything, because I had seen mallards sit there, and then get back here before it gets too dark for them to head to their roosting area where they spend the night. And so she says, well, I'll walk over to the creek with you. So we went over, nothing on the creek right there at the bend. So she said, I'll stand here. And my buddy and I, we walked down the creek, and we turned to come back. I said, okay, it's getting late. We better get back there because they're about due to come across. We turned around and we started walking back. We got part way to my sister, and there they came up the creek, made the turn, and went right over top of her. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to get a shot, and we're not there. And I'd already coached her, shoot in front of them, get ahead of them. And she brought the gun up and fired and rocked one. And I thought it was coming down. And I went, oh, her first duck. And it didn't. It recovered and flew away. And with the rest. Yeah. And
even in the days of lead, that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And I went up to her and I said, oh, you rocked it. She says, I hit that duck. Did you see the feathers? I hit that duck. And I said, how far out in front of it were you? She said, I was right on its beak. That was the problem. She had to get out another 2 feet, and she just whacked it in the tail end and took out some tail feathers. I said, when they were flying over that fast,
she needed to tighten that poly choke up there.
So here I was down the stream, me and my buddy. She got a shot at one, but she was happy. She got a shot at one, and she said, I hit that duck. Yeah, you did. I saw the feathers from where we were. Yeah.
I tell you what, that's something we don't do enough of. Every creek around here holds wood ducks like crazy, and some mallards when the drink freezes up or the water's rough out on the lake. Right? We don't do that enough. We got to hit more of those creeks.
Yeah, but that was 1970.
If they hold ducks, and it's a nice walk. I got a couple of those around here too that I was talking to you guys about where I turkey hunt and seeing the mallards just pour into those little creeks that are there. And I just never went this year. And one thing led to another. I got busy doing that.
The battleship. I was going to put the kayak in when things started to get cold and freeze up and drift down the same creek he's talking about. That's where I was going. And now my in-laws have bought a piece of property that creek runs right in their backyard. So it'd be perfect I could put in where we deer hunt. I could get out at my in-laws and I'll have a ride and possibly a warm place. And I just didn't get around to it. Just life happens. I want to do it. But yeah, when you find a stream with ducks, I'm going to elaborate and bring you to the 20th century really quick. Because Dad, then when I started hunting, we would hunt more north than where we are now. I won't say.
Tell you that story, that creek we found.
Yeah.
Flooded, yeah.
I've never seen ducks like this in my life, Bill. I'm not kidding you. 2 times, and it was in the same area, and we haven't been back there. We should go back. I don't know why we didn't go back, but we had a geese in the area, but we didn't go back and really focus on ducks in this. It's a bit of a drive, more north than where we are, and so we were driving around, and Dad said this is what we used to do, and to me, I couldn't fathom that because goose hunting for me or waterfowling, and it's majority goose because there's more geese than ducks now, right, around our area. So it was you'd stop, ask permission, you'd plan it. Okay, it's a Wednesday. We'd like to come in Saturday morning. We're going to get in. We're going to set up before they come in, yada, yada, yada. You know how the goose story goes. Dad says, no, this is what we used to do. He's driving around, look for creeks, little ponds, and jump ducks. Let's go. All right. So we seen a creek that we ran. Dad says, that creek looks just like the creeks that I used to hunt. Let's stop and see if we can go in there and get permission. And so Dad did some homework and ahead of time before the next weekend, and we had permission in this little section of a gravel pit where this creek went through. It went around the gravel pit, Perfect. So we went walking along the edge of this creek, and I could hear quack, 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 quack. I said, Dad, I can hear ducks up there. And he's like, well, let's go. So we went right to the bend that you could hear the ducks quacking on. And there was about, 10 yards of bush, Dad.
Yeah.
So it was like all open gravel pit and then 10 yards of bush and the creek's in the other side of this bush. So I said, Dad says, all right, let's just creep in and be ready because the minute they see you, they're going to jump. So I started to get towards the woods and I could see this mallard sitting on a log. And I said to Dad, they're right there. I could see one sitting on a log. And he says, well, when you're ready, let's rock and roll. And I will admit, nowadays, I wait till they jump, but I thought there's no way. I'm cleaning this sucker's clock. Like it's going down. Well, just as I brought the gun up, I took another step forward and that thing seen me and it jumped. Well, we unload. Wham, 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 wham. And like, we got 3 shells each. I'm shooting an 870. Dad, you were shooting your model. No, what were you shooting? Model 12.
Model 12 by that time.
And you didn't know you couldn't shoot steel through a full choke. And so because he just started hunting again after I started. Now all of a sudden, like this was my first couple years of hunting, or my first year of hunting. Actually, it was like my first weekend, I think, aside from the goose field.
Were you not shooting lead for a while?
No, I was right steel right from get-go.
I would have had my Satori then.
Maybe it was your Satori.
Because I had it choked for steel.
You had Briley's put in it, thin walls. Yeah, maybe it was your Satori. So boom, 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 boom. When we let these shots ring out, Bill, that creek, that gravel pit came alive, and that creek around that gravel pit, and it was a tornado. I mean, thousands of ducks came up out of that creek for a kilometer, for anybody listening down the stairs, for a mile, if they're equivalent. It came up like a wave. Like you see those birds in the fall migrating? These mallards came up out of that creek. It was, and I was just standing there in awe. I mean, I'm out of shells. I'm watching these mallards just make a tornado and fly away. Insane. And just deafening from the quacking. Like it was absolutely unfreaking real what we seen. And then we went back, we hunted some fields and we had them come in. I remember that. Yeah. But was
you did get that duck.
Oh yeah.
Because you had trouble finding it. It dropped down in some you know how the stream moves and then there'll be a stick or a log jam or something and then all the flotsam will float up against it and make it float on the water. Well, that duck floated down into that flotsam and you couldn't see it until you get right on top of it.
The flotsam? What's a flotsam?
Flotsam is all like the little pieces of grass and chips of wood and stuff that float down the stream and get stopped up against a log.
All right, Bill, be real. You ever heard of it? Right? You ever heard of a flotsam before? Is this an English term? His mother was English. Was that an English term?
Flotsam. No, that's what it's called.
My grandmother was English. I never heard of that term either. But you know what? That's okay.
Yep. And then you found it, and that right up against that flotsam, camouflaged in there.
And then we had a goose hunt in the field, and those ducks came in like a tornado. I've never seen it. The 2 times in my life, I have seen over 1,000 ducks, and they come in like a tornado. Yep, and man, if it was like that back in those days, you wouldn't have kept me out of those. That's what we did.
We hunted like that every day, Ron and I. I can remember one day I was by myself. And when they land in the field, they come in like a tornado, and then they all land like it comes down to
like a
point,
wave,
and then the rest of them all land, and then they feed across. The back ones go ahead of the front ones, and then all of a sudden the back ones come ahead of the front ones, and then the back ones, and then they get up and they fly around in that tornado and land and do it all again. So every time they do that, you crawl or run further into the field to wait for them to feed to you. And so that's what I was doing. I was trying to sneak towards these ducks. And then at the last minute, the last ones got up, went to the front, but they didn't come to the front right where I was. They came over the front ones, turned to the right. I don't know if they saw me or not. They could have. And then started to go turn to the right away from me and fly away. And well, then all the ducks on the ground got up to leave with them. And I thought, okay, it's now or never. And normally when you get up and they feed right to you and you stand up or they see you and they all go up, all you do is pick one duck in the middle of all that bunch.
Yeah, you can't flock shoot. You know that. You gotta pick one.
You pick one duck.
Big trouble.
But when they're that thick, you invariably get 2 or 3.
With lead.
with lead. And
with lead, yeah.
I mean, I've done it, not to sound cocky or arrogant. I've done it with geese and steel. It recently as this year.
Podcast before you sit there.
54 minutes. We got 54 minutes.
Well, this particular day, that wasn't like they came up, and I was not to the edge yet. I wasn't to the edge of that feeding flock yet. And so as they were coming up, they weren't all bunched. The main bunch had already come up and swung to the right. So I had to pick 3 ducks, and which you would do anyway. It's just that there was nothing close to those 3 ducks to fall with it. And I got the 3. I got kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And I went, oh man, that was a lot of work to get close to them. And it took me 45 minutes to get in there and close enough, but I got 3. So I picked them up, and they'd left. Like I'd shot, they'd left, they'd gone, going to another field. So I'm walking out, and I get pretty near to the car, and I met this guy coming in, and he went, oh my gosh. He says, I was a little late. I would have went in with you. And I said, I didn't even see you up there. I said, we could have went in together, but I said, I didn't get close to him. He says, well, you must have got close enough because you brought down 3. Yeah, I did. But at that time, close to the ducks means you're right in the thick of them, and you know you're going to get more than 1 every time you pull the trigger. But that's the way we always hunted fields. We just looked for a field and then crawled in, and we hunted a lot of ducks that way.
No decoys, just laid down in front of them.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah, and that's how we got that 100 that year. Ron and I, Rosemary said we ate ducks all winter long. It was awesome. But yeah,
it is pretty impressive with the amount of ducks, not 1 decoy.
Right? And now you got to have a spread. You got to have a spread, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, times have changed, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of this, is to enjoy and to listen and to understand how things used to be and what we can do differently with our mindsets. And I enjoy these stories. So
that was the 70s.
Keep these going.
Yeah, that was the 70s, and I got pictures right through to today.
So next week will be the early 80s.
No,
that's awesome.
I got to look at the pictures. But anyway, those are the pictures that I sent you, so you'd know what I was talking about.
No, those are great pictures, and hopefully Todd can put some of them in the story for this podcast too. So
yeah, no pressure, yeah. No pressure, right? No pressure.
No, I mean, you don't feel pressure. I've heard that before. So
I feed off it. Give it to me.
Right. Hey, I just wanted to give one more thing here before we end up. I don't know if Candace sent you pictures, but she finally finished my shooting bag too.
She didn't send me pictures.
Yeah. She finally finished it, and it is a piece of artwork. I'm telling you right now, it is phenomenal. I just can't stop looking at it. I don't even want to take it out. That's how I'm impressed. How impressed I am.
Well, now I need pictures. So yeah, I've seen this. So anybody listening, Candace has always been a leather. I don't know what the term would be. A leather tooler is really what it is, right? But a leather craftswoman.
Craftsman? Yeah, I guess maybe craftsman.
Yeah, leather craftsman. So she's made belts and everything, and they were prizes in that too for the rodeo, right? At times you'd win a belt made by Candace, at the time Thom, that's really how you spell your name. But so now she's shooting, and she's coming out and she's seeing the beautiful leather bags that you can win, and the pouches, and like, well, I can do that. And I'll tell you, I have seen some prototypes, and they're looking freaking awesome. And so I can't wait to see a finished product of what she's got, because she's been knocking out she's got some orders, right? Like, people are like, you could do this, and I know her belts are freaking amazing. She's done them for us for the Redneck Country Hunter Classic. They go along with the belt buckle done by Tom Howe, and so I mean that's a beautiful pair when you got the belt buckle and then Candace's hand-tooled belt. Friggin' awesome. So now you put her crafty canafty to those leather-stitched, handcrafted. I mean, there's no stamping. She's a hand tools them, and oh yeah. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a couple pictures of it. You can tell me what you think. But man, oh man, I'm blown away. Yeah, I'm absolutely blown away with it. Pictures, I guarantee you, pictures don't do it justice. When you see, it'll give you a basic idea, but until you can see it up front, or face to face, it's just the amount of work and effort and time and stuff. And
it's a lot of work. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I can attend to that. My gosh.
So anyways, just wanted to, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that.
No, that's awesome. I want to see it. I want to see it now. And I know so many people are bugging her now that they want. I know even guys at our gun club, when we go out there, they were talking about, hey, where can I get a bed? And I mentioned her name. They're like, give me your number. So I don't know if they've reached out either, but I know that there was a bunch that were gonna reach out.
Yeah, not yet, but I'm trying to figure out a few ways to optimize the process, because there's a few things there that are tedious. I can't help her with the tooling and that sort of stuff, but cutting out the panels and patterning things, and I got a few tricks up my sleeve from my manufacturing background. But we're gonna try to optimize it a little bit so she can not necessarily take as long, but when it takes her the time, it's a lot of work, like hammering and punching holes and that kind of stuff. So there's a few things that I can help her out with. Yeah,
that stuff you don't need to hand do it, right? Punching holes. No, I mean, whoop-de-doo.
Punching holes. Yeah. The artwork is not in the punching the holes for stitching. It's in the tooling of the bag and the pictures and the painting and the
artwork, awesome. The stain and the coloring. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, I guess that's pretty much at our time there. But keep the stories coming. I'm very much enjoying them.
Yeah,
very
this will be a good series as we get closer to my turn. Then it's going to get even more exciting, Bill.
Your turn.
What do you mean? Wait, I didn't say my turn, did I? I meant when they included me.
Hey, you got me looking at the old pictures, and I'm really enjoying reminiscing. So I'll try and stretch it out as long as possible before we have to include Todd.
Yeah, before you can get Todd involved, stretch it out as long as possible.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Talk about the times where you left him at home.
Yeah, at this point, he's not even born. He wasn't even born until 78.
Well, now you just 78. Aged me.
Yeah, 78. Yeah. His sister was born in 76.
76 or 75?
50.
You're right. It's old through osmosis, Bill. I blame the people I hang out with.
Yeah, as do I.
And I'm really only 24.
Yeah. Mentally.
Yeah, well, you can't listen to him. He doesn't know it. You just heard him. He doesn't know if that story he told us from the 60s, 70s, 80s, if she had a pump or a bolt action. Like, come on.
Honestly, I'm racking my brain.
That could have been me with long hair in the picture. You don't know.
It's starting to come back, but I can't remember where she got that. I'm thinking she must have got it from my uncle or something, because I honestly cannot remember where she got that gun. I know my first shotgun was given to me by my dad, and it was a topper single shot, and my grandfather had a topper single shot, and I got both of those guns eventually.
Evidently, I now have two topper single shots.
You got them both now?
I don't know if they're both. I don't know if one was Mom's grandpa and one was or Mom's dad and one was your dad.
It would have been my mom's brother.
I think I got two toppers down there.
It would have been my mom's brother. They all hunted with single shot shotguns. My dad never did.
22. I got
22.
Yeah, the 22.
He never shot waterfowl.
Rabbits. He'd go. Hey, that's another story. I don't want to take it away. How he hunt rabbits, because that's totally different. How I hunt rabbits.
Another podcast.
Yep. We'll get there.
And early pickerel fishing and early trout fishing. Like, we haven't even.
Hey, and those seasons are coming up. We could time this just beautiful.
This is just perfect.
And Dad never had a boat, so this goes for the folks that don't have a boat. When we get to that section, Dad hates boats. Yeah. He don't do boats.
You'll see in a lot of my hunting pictures, especially ducks, that I'm usually wet from the waist down.
So right on. Awesome.
Good deal. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate the chat, and we'll keep this going.
Yeah, you take care.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye-bye.
And that'll do it for this week, folks. For the Redneck Country podcast, I'm Bill, the Almost Guy Tom.
And I'm Todd, and thanks for listening. And folks, if you want to be part of the podcast, or you want to give us some feedback, or really contact us about anything, feel free to email us at podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Again, that's podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Thanks for listening. Talk to you again next week.